All right, let's begin with some fill in the blank. Our fertility journey so far has been.
Am I filling in the blank?
You're filling in the blank.
Tricky.
That's pretty lightly.
Yeah.
Internal ultrasounds are.
Horrible.
Stabbing a needle into your belly and butt multiple times a day is.
Not as bad as I thought it would be.
Oh, give me one.
Fresh sample collections at the clinic are.
Remarkably fun. Wish I didn't need to be doing them, but remarkably fun.
Mm-hmm. Finding out that you have 0 sperm on the day of the egg retrieval was.
Debilitatingly crushing.
Wow.
Devastating.
Oh boy.
All right, now you have a flavor of our infertility journey. We're going to talk all about it today, so hope you're excited. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
It's time
To talk
about.
our lives.
This week is National Infertility Awareness Week, which we found out and we thought to ourselves, wow, a week for us.
What a great premise. We wanted to just, if you've been following us, you know about our infertility journey and going through IVF for the last year. We wanted to just have one video where we kind of do a high level discussion of everything. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty timeline details.
Yeah.
But now that we've had, some time to process everything, because we were not successful at IVF. Spoiler, Hannah's not pregnant. We just wanted to recap everything and provide, a way for others going through this to realize and understand that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest parts of it.
Yeah.
It's feeling like you are alone.
Yeah. All right. So our fertility journey basically started in the summer of 2020.
Yes.
I was late on my period. We thought that I might be pregnant. At that point, we had no conception of our fertility health,
I probably didn't have told you what IVF was.
Yeah, it was not on our radar. We just assumed we could get pregnant naturally, not a problem. And we thought at that time that we did. And it was scary at first. We were like, oh no, we don't actually want to do this right now. This is too soon.
Yeah, I remember being open to having kids, and then when it was oh wait, you might have a kid.
Yeah.
It was uh-oh, am I actually ready?
Yeah. Yeah, are we ready for everything to change? And then obviously it turned out that I was not pregnant. And so after that we started talking do you think we're ready? We had really put a lot of thought into it during this period when we thought we might be. And I think after that we started casually trying.
Yeah.
But we weren't trying in the way of we're tracking ovulation. We were just not taking any precautions and seeing what happened.
Yep. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So then I probably 2 years later, maybe 2022, we started trying to use Mosey Baby, which is an at-home IUI type thing.
Yeah.
That can up your chances. And that was we were timing it and still nothing happened. And we were well, that's a little strange at this point. You would think that 2 years later, it would have worked by now.
Yeah, just we've given it a good number of attempts.
Yeah.
By this point, I know that conception can be a very long, difficult process, but it felt like we'd done that process. After 2-ish years of enough attempts, it was something's going on.
Exactly. So then but at the same time, we weren't in a huge rush. We didn't really assume that it was going to be a horrible outcome.
Yeah.
We just kind of were nah, that didn't work. Maybe we should go to a fertility clinic, see what's going on. And at the same time, Shane was taking a medication that can affect your sperm health and sperm count. So we were maybe that's affecting it. We should probably go to a clinic. We called a clinic. We got an appointment for October of 2022. Yes, 2022.
I said no timelines because I don't know timelines.
I know.
The past 5 years are a blur.
Maybe it's 2023. No, because it's 2024 now. It was 2022.
Wow. For a no timeline video, we're naming
Shane,
a lot of
but
dates.
we've been doing this for so long. I can't believe it. It's
I know.
2022.
I'm going to fill in the blank again. Our infertility journey has been long.
Yeah, so I guess we called the summer of 2022, got in the appointment, the wait list was 6 months. We waited for a while. Finally got in, and at that point found out that Shane's sperm was heavily affected.
My numbers were very, 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 very low.
Very low, yes.
And of the swimmers that I did have, they weren't swimming very well. Many of them were slow or dead. So the numbers were not good, but they were good enough on a infinitesimal level
Yeah.
that IVF was a viable option.
Yes.
You only need one working sperm to
fertilize one egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So that's what we were aiming for.
Our doctor was very hopeful. She was like, this should be totally fine, like no worries if you do IVF. So we went ahead with IVF. We did it last year, like almost a year ago this month.
Yep, and that was, you're gonna like give a high level, like what you
Yeah.
feel about that, like having no one do it.
I think at that time we were pretty hopeful because it wasn't like we had unexplained infertility. Like we knew exactly what was wrong. We knew it was like male factor. We knew why it was happening, like all this stuff. So we felt like we have more information than an average couple who might like have no idea why they're not getting pregnant, you know? So we were like, this should be okay.
Yeah.
So we go through it. I thought that the actual like physical process was fine. I would do it again, no problem. I think the reason I wouldn't do it is because of the financial aspect. Like it's insanely expensive.
That's very true. Hannah's also being a little bit modest. She was the one that had to do all the hardest parts of IVF, like the injections and the medications that alter her mood and hormones and all that. And then it grew like a ton of eggs. That was a very uncomfortable few days. She was a champion through all of it, and you deserve a lot more credit.
I'm just saying, I don't think that I was like prepared for horrible.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of experiences of people that had horrible, side effects from the injections. Like the injections were so painful. They had like mood swings. They were depressed, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then the medications for me, I think like whatever hormone I had was just putting me in a better mood. I was in a fantastic mood the entire time we did IVF.
You really were. At the end of it, when it was over,
Yeah.
I remember you being like, I wonder if I could take those medications all the time.
I was like, can I just stay on these? Like, I'm feeling pretty good.
You'll just always be generating like thousands of eggs.
Yeah. No, but the injections were really easy for me to do after the first one, which took me 45 minutes. So I'm just saying, like, I would like to be a more positive, like, if anyone's watching this thinking about doing IVF, like, I understand that a lot of people had horrible experiences, and I read all of those online before, but I would like to be a voice of like, oh, it actually wasn't bad for me.
Yep. And I don't want to discount how hard it was even for Hannah, but she really did like handle it like a champ, and we got through it together.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do any injections, so
no, all you had to do was
so easy for me.
Fresh sample the day of.
I had to give a lot of fresh samples.
I was most nervous for the actual egg retrieval, and that was the worst part. After the egg retrieval, I was so bloated. I gained like 8 pounds of water in my stomach, and it was like distended. It was horrible.
It was a little scary for a day or two.
Yeah.
Like we were considering going to the emergency room.
Yeah, you're not allowed to drink water. You can only eat like salt to try to get the water out of your stomach.
See, like we just told you that. That sounds pretty rough, right? And Hannah's saying, like, it wasn't that bad.
Well, it was like 2 days. I was fine after that, but it was very painful. I'm forgetting that part. The injections were really no problem. The egg retrieval wasn't great, but I wouldn't, like, not do it again. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
I know what to expect. It was fine.
I think, for me, the bigger kind of rough part was after the egg retrieval, because we found out that day that I had produced 0 sperm that they were able to use, which was not expected whatsoever.
That's the big headline here.
And so, like, at that point, we had 20-something eggs from Hannah that we were able to freeze, thankfully, but we didn't have any sperm, so we had to figure out a new plan.
So for the next 7 months, Shane made some lifestyle changes. We kept testing to see if his numbers were getting better. They started getting better around like the 4th month, which is what that's the life cycle of sperm. So that's what our doctor anticipated.
Yeah.
But they weren't great. And so we just kept waiting basically. So then around the 7th month, we got Shane's numbers to a point where the doctor was like, this is like looking pretty good. Let's like freeze some. Like it's go time. So they defrosted. We actually did this twice. The first time they defrosted they got Shane's sample and defrosted 7 of my eggs, and none of them took basically. They grew for a couple days and then they died. And then the second time they were able to fertilize the remaining 15 of my eggs.
I made 15 sperm, guys.
Yeah.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Pat on my shoulder, maybe? Pretty big deal.
And 9 of those fertilized normally and continued growing, and then none of them made it to an embryo.
Yeah.
And that was the end of our infertility journey up until this point. That was back in December.
Yeah, and that's the part that really stands out to me, is those last few months when, like, hope really was high.
Yeah.
Again, like, my numbers were improving, and it felt like, we had all these eggs that fertilized, and we were going to do it. And then it didn't work. So it was like a roller coaster of hope and then devastation.
It's just the craziest thing that you would go through this like huge process for a year and a half and spend like tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And then it just like, you just get a call that's like, it didn't work. Yeah. And then you're just done. And then you just like never do it. Like it's just over.
Yep.
So now it's been 6 months and we're like, was that even like, that was real? Like,
yeah, it feels like we stepped out of our life for a year and a half. Yeah. And just did a separate life.
It's super weird.
Mm-hmm. It's a very weird feeling, and it's coupled with like internal kind of existential weirdness of like, is my identity tied to my ability to have kids? Like, if it feels like it is, how do I separate that? How do I work through that? It was all a big emotional mess. Yeah. And I really appreciate that we were able to go through it without like building resentment for one another. Yeah. I never ever felt like Hannah thought less of me or loved me any less because I had bad sperm. Yeah. And that sounds ridiculous, but it also happens. Like, yeah, no, for sure. Like infertility is a big stress on the relationship, and I'm just grateful that we got through it lovingly. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. What a great love story.
Wow. Yeah, what a fantastic story. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So that's our infertility journey, which is on pause for now.
Yeah, we don't really have next steps yet. We're just not doing next steps yet. Yeah. We don't want to step back into that weird universe.
Yeah, right now. We're taking a break from that.
We're on hiatus.
Yeah.
Anyway, happy Infertility Awareness Week.
Happy
I don't think
week.
you should say happy, but be aware. Infertility exists. Yeah. And many couples go through it. And if you're going through it, don't feel so alone. There's lots of us out here going through it as well.
Yes.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.